What's up, everybody? It's Joe La Puma. You were watching the Complex Sneakers Show. As always, I'm joined by my two friends, my two co-hosts. First off to my right, Mr. Matt Welty.
Rainy day outside. You brought the Arc'teryx inside.
I had to. Your boy PG, you know, when we did the key art, I had the Supreme soft shell.
Wow, this is a record for a PG,
yeah, I know,
PG mention within the first minute of the program. Go ahead.
I've been pretty positive with him lately. You know, we did the key art. You guys see. Also, I have the Supreme shell. He's like, really wearing a jacket inside? Hey, PG. No one asked you. To my left.
But he would be the one to know because he's never outside. He's always inside, you know?
Okay.
PG, how about you come on this program and say it to our face?
Look,
buddy.
I just did the Dwayne Wade alley-oop to him. To my guy, the Wade LeBron alley-oop. To my left,
hello,
Mr. Brendan Dunne. He's back.
You call me the LeBron James of the sneaker media game? Your words, not mine. Just kidding. They were my words.
If I said it, I meant it. If I said it, I meant it.
Bite my tongue for no one.
Absolutely. He's back from Atlanta.
Hi.
Rained all weekend in New York City. Still raining.
June.
Huh?
From June to June?
Yes.
Did you get the lemon pepper wings at Magic City?
I was not at Magic City.
Okay.
I was in Atlanta. I did have some lemon pepper wings.
All right. From where?
JR Crickets.
Classic spot.
Smashed them in the hotel room right before I ran back to the airport.
I love that.
Thank you, Joe.
I love that. Did he hit Gus's? No?
No, I had some biscuits, though. It was a nice weekend.
Did you hit up Dave Matthews while you were in his town? Did you check in with Dave Matthews?
Actually, no, I neglected to.
Did you get a recommendation from Trinidad James?
No, happy birthday, Trinidad. Yesterday was his birthday.
Happy belated Trinidad.
Yeah, many days later when you're hearing this podcast. But
yes.
I was with, wow, I don't know how deep I want to go on sneaker media talk because it's so insidery, but I was with our dear friend Ian Stonebrook.
Shouts to Ian
One
Stonebrook.
of the greats.
Good dude.
Oh, the best.
One of my favorite people. Just such a genuine guy and a person who's created a lot of memorable sneaker content in many years in the game. So deep in this as well that he knew the trivia. He's like, hey man, isn't Dave Matthews from Atlanta?
Yeah.
Isn't producer Dave Matthews
Shouts
from Atlanta?
Shouts to Ian Stonebrook. You already know how I feel about you, brother.
And man, I was watching him warm up in the gym when we were at the Anthony Edwards Adidas event, and he did not miss once.
Buckets?
Wetty.
Okay, what about you, though?
He did not miss once. I did not shoot once.
Okay, did you say...
Did you even step foot
DMP?
on
Did not play? Yeah, okay, they gave you a DMP? Listen,
yeah.
I always say, this is what I would always say. It's better for us to sit out where we don't want to be embarrassed on these press trips. So sit out, do your thing. It's better than you representing the team in Atlanta. You have Ian Stonebrook, just like Larry Bird out there.
Yes.
Right? And then we have you. We don't need you tarnishing. Because
let me tell you,
well, let me tell you, some of the complex basketball teams in the past that played in these tournaments, like I always said, I would show up. Oh, yeah, I think we have a good shot. Did you ever see the Office episode of basketball?
Yeah.
Okay, it was like that. So
So I'm going to thread the needle.
Please.
Crazy on this one, right?
Okay.
So the seam.
Drake airball, right, at the University of Kentucky, where our friend Joe from Oneness, Kentucky.
Okay, let's see here.
This is the board with all the sticky notes that he's connected the dots.
I checked my mentions. He hits me. He goes, "How come you're not talking about the biggest sneaker moment of yesterday?" And it was Taylor Swift wearing the New Balance 550s at the Kansas City Chiefs game.
Okay,
Whoa,
so I
missed that.
No, I saw so many. Obviously, we saw so much Taylor Kelsey stuff in the past 18 hours. I did not see that.
She wore white and red New Balance.
Do you have a photo?
I mean, that's a white girl Hall of Fame sneaker, so it's only right that their queen puts those on, right?
Okay,
that's the most fitting shoe I can imagine.
Yeah,
unless she's stepping out in the dirty white Air Force Ones.
Text me that right now if you
Welty,
can.
did you feel anything when you saw that?
I didn't realize it I didn't see it till this morning. So, but
big sneaker moment. Is it one of the? You're saying that's a sneaker moment of the year?
No,
you're definitely going to tweet that very soon.
Yes, you are. He may be tweeting it right now. Look, he's on his phone.
Tweeting, yeah.
I texted it to both of you guys.
Thank you for that.
I did a little traveling myself. Kith Toronto opening.
Yeah, how was that?
It was good. I was there 20 hours. Saw a lot of people.
Fun time.
Great store. Had my New Balance 1700s on. Yeah, another one for Ronnie, and I had a good time.
I like the white and red pair.
Which pair of the New Balances
I wore all
do you
red.
have?
I like the white and red, but
I know you're not a white. But
yeah.
Wait, hold on. You said you like a white shoe?
I do like the white and red. But I go more towards all red. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good.
I found some sort of little subtle irony or just laughing in my head about it that they do the 2 Canada shoes for the Toronto opening.
Kith New Balance 1700s.
And then they don't do a made in USA.
Well, it's fitting, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
Like, there's something.
I'm sure that was intentional.
It's like subtly funny.
Caught up with my guy Marcus Troy, original OG influencer. Mm-hmm. Also, fun fact, I said on this podcast before, he's the one who held me down with the black and pink Yeezy ones.
Very important.
Huge. That's a big
JLP sneaker
But yeah,
moment.
great to catch up with him and others. So
one huge thing I saw this weekend, and Welty, I know you'll be interested in this. I know this will excite you, but I saw Joe posted a photo of his shoe bag.
Oh, yes.
And that's like a big thing.
You had to run it back, right?
Yeah,
I know that's like
big JLP shoe bag.
Yeah,
was that exciting for you? I know
yes.
that's more exciting for you than like signature basketball.
No, it is.
And stuff. Yeah. Were you excited when you saw that? His photo of his shoe bag?
But people did agree with me though that
that what?
It's good sometimes to cut through the nonsense and not hype up things that don't matter.
Okay. Also, someone big JLP shoed me in person. I wasn't ready for it.
Wow.
I had the
you were taken aback?
Cortez 95s on.
Yeah.
Are you pulling up the message right now? I
had the Cortez 95s on, black and pink, and I was in the Kith Toronto store, and someone was like, big JLP shoe, and I was taken back. I only see comments, and I'm only used to it from this guy, but I was a little taken aback. So, big JLP shoe IRL.
Thank you for the support, everybody.
I also have another random anecdote I want to bring. I know you have your list here, but I checked, Facebook memories, sometimes it's like 5 years, 10 years. First of all, some of those Facebook wall posts I had.
We didn't need to see those.
So
we didn't need to see those again.
Cringy. So cringy. Mm-hmm. The other funny thing that I was doing was reporting like I was Woj to Facebook, like wall posts, like...
You already got the news off of ESPN, but you're
just because I was working
LeBron to Miami,
exactly stuff like that, exactly. But like across music. But 5 years ago today, 2018, there was a shoe of the year was the thing.
You were still posting them. No.
Shoe of the year, and I
thought you were going to say this was
a bit older than us.
I thought you were going to say this. No, I thought you were going to say this is like 2009.
No, I was still posting shoe of the year 2018, and I had the acronym Prestos on. It was funny that popped up today because someone in Toronto said, "What's the most comfortable shoe that you've worn like recently?" Do you have that answer right away? It took me a while, which is interesting.
I don't have that answer right away. I think it's just New Balances in general. 992, 990 V3 or something like that.
Is it crazy that I said the one that sticks out, and it's only because I wore them and beat them, but they were so comfortable, was the black gray Acronym Presto. By the time years of wear, details were like falling off, but it was such a slip. That was like the most comfortable shoe I wore that sticks out in recent memory, where it's like up here as this is by far the shoe that slipped in and out and wore forever.
I'll say this, I can't necessarily concur with you. I've owned many pairs of Acronym Prestos, but ended up reselling them all. But it is still a very fitting answer because if you remember the history on the original Nike Air Presto, they wanted to call it the Air Comfy.
T-shirts for your feet.
Yes, exactly. Somebody else had the rights to that name, and Mark Parker suggested at one point, I think, can we just buy the company so we can name the shoe that? But they ended up calling it the Presto. But still quite comfy.
It's gray outside. You thought his knowledge was going to be gray on a Monday morning? Look at that.
Shining bright?
Look at it. What was that, a chapter from Shoe Dog? Just rattled that off? Air Comfy?
No, but it is in the Complex Sneaker of the Year book.
Yes, it is.
It's still one of those shoes I just never...
On Amazon?
Never saw.
In bookstores.
I don't know. Just never saw it on it.
The Nike Air Presto?
No, Acronym Presto.
You didn't like
Acronym Presto?
I don't hate the shoe.
Right.
I'm not putting out like, oh, I hate that shoe. But when it came out, no, hold on. It's one of those things. When it came out, everyone's like, oh, sneaker of the year, and I'm just like,
Sodi.
When you see sneaker of the year, at least in your own mind, you get that feeling. You're like, this is the sneaker of the year. It instantly like strikes you.
It clicks.
I never got that feeling even remotely with that shoe. I thought it was an okay shoe, but I just never understood why people were like, this is the best sneaker I've ever seen.
And I should clarify, there was obviously 2 sets of them.
Yes, so the first set, right?
Well, the first set I wore a lot, but the black and gray, the second set, I wore even the most. The black and gray one, are we willing to say maybe the biggest JLP shoe in terms of wear?
I think so.
Of all time?
Wore them a ton. The thing, half the design, like I say.
Yeah.
I know you love that shoe, but do you think that that shoe held up to the standard of sneaker of the year all these years later? Not saying that it was sneaker of the year that year, but
it was the olive one that year.
Was it like an elite? Do you think it's still like an elite shoe that?
I think it's still an elite shoe. I think that silhouette doesn't look great right now, but I would have to consider what else was in the running. That was 2018.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean it like that. I don't mean
versus the other stuff, but just is it still a great design all these years later? I think so, and I think the Presto is a sneaker that hasn't been celebrated in our kind of hype circles as much as it should be, and so for that reason, I think it's good to have a spotlight on it. And I like Errolson Hughes' work in general.
The olive one, to clarify, was 2016, and then the second set was 2018.
Okay, got it.
Keep us honest with that.
Yes, please.
Something to flag.
I have to raise my hand. I think I may have made a mistake on here last week, but I need some help clarifying it as well. Joe, if you could pull up an image of the shoe. Remember those Nike Air Footscape wovens I had on? I thought that was a cow print. Somebody said it's actually looks more like a giraffe print, and I don't know how well I can discern the difference between them.
I've heard everyone say cow print.
Okay, are we calling
First thing in Google is cow print?
We're calling it cow print?
Cow or giraffe print.
I've heard everyone
say Instagram. Let me check.
Please.
Let me check my data.
We need a zoologist.
Offspring HQ. Cow or giraffe print with the sneaker in question, which Ronnie was wearing the whole weekend.
Do you think I set the tone for that?
People out here. Sorry to all the giraffe heads. This is a cow print woven, and I've got mine locked off already. Says Mrs. Streets, lowercase p. Okay, we got to trust.
The streets. I trust the streets.
We got to trust.
Also, and I want to put the photo of this in here, but the panels on them look kind of different from piece to piece, so I was a little confused. But okay, maybe I didn't make a mistake then.
Okay.
One shoe that people said was a big JLP shoe, which I was confused because I'm not saying that it. I feel like it's much more my shoe. Was the upcoming Stone Island New Balance 991 V2?
No,
not a JLP shoe.
No,
not even a JLP shoe, let alone a big one.
It's not.
You wouldn't wear that shoe?
I don't think so.
I think that people are just, it's just a black shoe. It's an all black shoe. And so people think.
And here's the thing. The thing about the JLP shoe, we've already mentioned it a lot this episode, but sometimes we surprise you because you know what is? The Salehe Bembury New Balances that he previewed.
Yeah?
The bright colors, I like them.
That's another 1906, right?
Yeah.
Keep them guessing a little bit. You know, it has a color scheme that reminds me a tiny bit, not the same of
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is what the internet was saying, but the bright neck breaker, the Solomon ACSs.
Okay. Wealthy, are you a fan of those?
No.
And I'll say, not really?
No?
No.
Why not?
I really like the Salehe 1906 that came out that got previewed before that. Almost that like rocket pop-ish colorway that's like it's like the yellow, orange, red, looks like a popsicle. I like those. I feel like Salehe with New Balance, at least for me, he's on like it's like an every other shoe like pattern where he'll do a colorway or a model that I really like, and then he'll do a colorway that there's something about some of the color combinations that's just I've really thought about this over the weekend that's like jarring to me. This one is very jarring. It's like a Spider-Man in a purple sole or a maroonish sole, and just something about the color combination like doesn't put me at ease. I thought the same thing about the 2002 Rs. I know those people are like those are their favorite shoes that he had done.
The 2002 R had such a moment after that, the way New Balance started producing them.
And I trust me, I totally understand how his shoes were big and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Those two colorways just aren't for me. This colorway isn't for me as well, so it goes back and forth where it's like one shoe I really like that he does, and then one shoe that it's just not for me.
When you say jarring,
do
you go like that? You see it on Instagram like that, or what?
It's just like you just look at
it. Is it jarring a little?
It's just you look at it and there's something like like color combinations can either put you at ease or something about it is just a little like
they bring you either pleasure or pain.
Yeah, and something
right?
about it just doesn't do it for me.
Joe.
Okay. What? When you say Joe, something serious is coming.
You told me this in confidence, but I want to know if we can discuss it on here.
What?
Are you in a heated bidding war for a sneaker right now? A certain sneaker that would match the blue Arc'teryx jacket you're wearing?
Yes, and it's getting annoying because...
Can we talk about it?
Sure, but...
What shoe is it?
It's the blue a cold wall. Let me tell you, here's another thing.
You're putting in bids frantically on StockX trying to secure a pair? No,
but let me tell you what's happening. Two things. One, I must have talked to this guy a lot.
This weekend, I
feel like I have so much.
You.
Don't apologize. I feel like I have so much to catch up with him about. You too, but I realized, no, we talked about literally every single thing.
Yes.
Okay, so what's happening with this? A lot of times I just buy now.
Mm-hmm. Can we say on StockX?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in a bidding. It's not a war. It's not a bidding war. I think it's the seller contacting me.
A mere skirmish.
They keep going down like $1 though.
So
and I'm like,
I love to do that on StockX. I love to do that.
Is it you? Sam, if it's him, tell me. It better not be him.
Unmasked.
But listen, can you turn off notifications?
Yes, you can.
You can?
I hope you get one right now.
Well, I'm going to get a lot.
Me just adjusting?
Hold on.
It's not a cold wall. It's a cold war.
Okay. So listen.
Yes.
Listen.
And they're just going down on their ask by $1 each time. Look at all these notifications. But let me ask you this. Are you responding in kind? Or are you just doing $1 up on your bid? Or you'll
like
go
this,
up a little higher increment?
10 toes down, staying firm.
Stonewall Joe.
Do you think they know it's you?
Joe La Puma, I don't know.
I don't know if they do. But look, I'm holding my ground. They're probably going to win because I'm getting over it.
Yeah, those
okay? I'm holding my ground. I'm holding my
Those-
ground. And listen, not that this is for anyone out there who may get into a bidding war with me. I'm not showing my hand. I'm not, my tell. I have no tells in poker. The only tell I have in poker is I can't sit still for that long, so I usually just go all in.
Wait,
even
you
if I'm
can't sit
winning.
still?
Even when I'm winning, I just go all in
Yeah.
because I'm over it. But I have no tells on StockX. Having said that, they're beating me down. I feel like I'm going to lose this one. But the weekend I'm in Tehran, this notification, and then I keep looking. I'm like, oh, what? Went down $30. $1 they're
At
going
a time.
down.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm the person on the other end of the transaction oftentimes who will be doing that. Like, I don't care. I'll troll all day.
Look at it. Okay.
But just remember, God gives his
Fucking
toughest
Ken
battles
Golden over here bidding.
to his strongest soldiers.
Want to get that line clean though?
Salute. No, I love it. I love it.
I hope I didn't step on it. I heard the greatness.
I saw those in women's sizes. Someone had posted it online over the weekend. The blue cold wall
TMs.
And yeah, they look pretty good. I think that sold me on it. Sometimes when you see them in the smaller sizes, you're like, oh, that looks
much better.
One shoe that I have lately, I know I'm always been saying as of late, not into dunks as much anymore. Not a dunk hater, but just I think we're all kind of over it to some extent. Those Albino and Preto Nike SB dunks.
The jiu-jitsu one.
Yeah. I don't do jiu-jitsu, so I'm not super amped about it, but I saw those, the little rollout they did with it. The shoe wears away. It has different colors of the BJJ belts that you can accumulate. They did a ad campaign with it where they got P-Rod in it's like the material of the gi that you wear in jiu-jitsu. P-Rod's kind of screwing around a little bit and gets thrown to the ground. I think they look good because it's a shoe that's not super hype, so people may actually skate in it, and the wearing away to it, I don't know, it just looks cool to me.
Yeah, I'm excited about those as well. I'm not going to wear them, but I like to know the background on them a bit, especially Bryce Wong designed them. Used to be at Nike SBs, moved over to Nike Virtual Studios now, but he's very into jiu-jitsu, so just seeing those connections and how an idea like that can come to fruition is cool.
Yeah, and there's been so many SBs lately where I can't even differentiate them, where it feels like the last, of course, Born and Raised recently came out. That's probably got it wrong. Born and Raised is the best one this year, not just because of the meaning behind it, but that shoe looks great. But second best to me is this Albino and Preto.
Also, I want to give a quick PSA on the Born and Raised dunk. It looks like they are only coming out in the U.S. at Born and Raised and not at any skate shops, which is exactly how we told you on this program a couple months ago that it would go down. So
there we go.
We do keep receipts. Welty, what about the new Kyrie Anta logo? You pointed this out.
Oh yeah, it looks like the Cottonmouth Kings. Yeah, that's an early 2000s throwback.
All-time bad brand mark for sure, right? Not too much else we need to say on that.
No.
Should we bring on our guest?
Listen, I'm going to preface this. Drop the purple hearts in the comments. If you know, you know. Drop some purple hearts in the comments. It's time. As a young talent in the industry, our guest on today's podcast held brand marketing positions at Nike, Adidas, and Saucony. After leaving those brands and going out on his own, he celebrated entrepreneurs on his Claima Stories podcast and became one himself. The podcast, which highlights creatives of color and how they succeed within the verticals of sports, pop culture, style, and sneakers, is a must-listen for industry insiders and those with like-minded career aspirations. This week is a tentpole moment for Claima, as tomorrow, on September 30th, marks the release of the Claima Seat X Saucony 3D Grid. Here to talk about that collaboration and more, please welcome our friend, Bimma Williams. Bimma, welcome.
What's up? What's up?
Came from Detroit.
I didn't
mention it in the intro. Congratulations.
Picked up a trophy out there?
Yeah.
I did. Shout out to James Whitner.
James Whitner presented him Entrepreneur of the Year, Black Footwear Forum in Detroit. Congrats, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. It meant so much coming from James, James has been killing it for years, man, and he's been a great mentor, and so for it to come from him, it was pretty special.
Awesome.
How was that event out there in Detroit?
Man, it was crazy. Also, I hadn't spent that much time in Detroit, so to be able to go to Detroit and be able to be there with so many different Black professionals in the industry, and plus I hadn't been in the industry per se on the corporate side for 3 years now, and so I hadn't seen a lot of those people in 3 years. So to see them all in one place was really dope, and to see what Dwayne's been building with Pensole.
Yeah.
He went from Portland. Now he's got 460,000 square feet, and he's in one of the old automotive buildings.
So the Pensole school is in Detroit now?
It's in Detroit now. Yeah, so it's great. We saw Jason Maiden, saw James, saw Chris Wright, saw a lot of different people. June was out there. Shout out to June. Jazzy Jeff did a whole set.
All of our friends.
Nice. a lot of Complex Show alumni too.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people out there. So it was good.
Did you eat a Coney hot dog?
I didn't eat a Coney hot dog. I thought about it. I should have done it in your honor.
When he goes out of town, he's just immediately searches for the glizzies.
He's on
glizzy. Is that your go-to?
No, but they're known for it.
Yeah.
Detroit.
Oh,
Detroit.
yeah.
Has
Two.
Welty
right. Was not.
Nah, he's known for it too.
We all are.
Yeah, but glizzy hunting.
We went to Sweetwater. We went to Sweetwater Tavern and we had the wings.
Okay.
And the wings there are crazy. So
is.
if you go to Detroit, Sweetwater Tavern, get the wings.
I was in Atlanta doing lemon pepper.
Yeah, I saw you. You was all over the gram.
Always mixy ass. Sorry. No, he is though. He is. You sort of saw him at the Nike event too. No, that's why. Yeah,
Guilty.
good for you.
Guilty. Bimma, can we talk about the sneakers we have on feet? Because yours are particularly important today.
Yeah, we could talk about them.
Yes.
I'm in the 3D Grid Hurricane, the Claima Seat, Claima version.
Your first sneaker collab?
Is our first sneaker collab. Super excited. They come out on September 30th. It's
Tomorrow.
a Saturday. So they're coming tomorrow.
Yep, tomorrow.
So definitely claimastories.com. Go pick them up. What I love about this shoe is it's actually designed by a Black designer named John Acevedo. And I didn't know that when we selected this shoe at the time. Initially, I saw this shoe when I was gone from Saucony. Jason had just gotten a Saucony. And I was like, you should totally bring these out. There's nothing like this in the catalog, but I'll back off. I won't be like the old dude trying to tell you to do these things. And when I saw him at ComplexCon 2021, he was like, actually, we're bringing them back. And he's like, what you trying to do? And I was like, what do you mean what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to do the sneaker.
You know what I'm trying to do.
But then on LinkedIn, it was actually the bodega version of the shoe had released, and John Acevedo posts them online. He's like, thank y'all for, working on my sneaker. And I was like, John, I just saw you the other day on North Williams in Portland. And I was like, you didn't bring any of this up. And so that's how I found out it was his sneaker, and it just made it that much special. He designed the original. He designed the original. Wow. He designed them by hand. He had a last, and he was cutting out parts and piecing them together on the shoe.
That's nuts.
Crazy.
What's crazy? This is like my brain working in weird tangential ways, but I thought for some reason in my head, and it's not the story, I'm guessing, but because it's a 3D Grid Hurricane.
Yeah.
You're from Louisiana. It's like LSU colorways, and for some reason I put all those pieces together that he's trying to tell the story behind it, but
it's a lot of subtleties in there. But you're right. That was the other thing that stuck out. Yeah.
More than three.
More than three. But the hurricane, I'm from Louisiana. We dealt with our fair share of hurricanes, right? But I think it's made our city and our people very resilient, right? Yeah. You go to New Orleans, you're like, why are people still here? There's another hurricane coming, but everybody always comes back, because it's home. And so when I saw that, I was like, yeah, we have to do this. There's so much that just speaks back to home. And then, of course, purple is a part of it. That's not necessarily why we chose purple for the brand, but it is definitely a callback to a lot of the creatives back home. It's just more so like I've been gone for 10 years, but I still represent where I'm from. And so it's a nice little nod back home.
Another interesting tidbit about that shoe, the 3D grid. I remember talking to Jay Festino, obviously at Saucony, and when that shoe first started to roll out, I go, wait, did you know about this? And there was a picture of Bill Clinton running in the 3D grid.
I hadn't seen that.
Wow.
Is that for real?
Yeah, because there's all those, there's all those pictures of him like running in the New Balances.
Trainer spotting and stuff.
Yeah,
for
in
sure.
Asics, and he was running in like the white and blue version of that shoe back in the day when it first
that's
came
crazy.
out.
I did see Denzel.
You need to do like Fat Joe.
Exactly.
And get Bill Clinton a pair.
Look at Bill
Yo,
Clinton,
man, he
the
had 'em
biggest
in him.
sneaker influencer. All of a sudden, Fat Joe last week maybe had a pair of these, an OG pair of these. Look
Y'all
at
didn't
him.
know. Bill's the real OG influencer.
And this is actually a sample pair, right?
Yeah, this is just a sample pair. So, it's rainy out here in New York, so I wasn't going to step out in my fresh pair. So I've been wearing the ones I've been wearing for like the past 6 months.
Sacrificing them. Nice. Okay. I am doing a rainy day sneaker as well. This is the Adidas Spezial Moundfield 2. It's kind of a big JLP shoe because it's a triple black, but it's also a big Matt Welty shoe because it's a Adidas Spezial.
All right.
And it's a little bit of a big Brendan Dunne shoe because it's a 10.5 instead of my true 10. So checking a lot of boxes
It's literally a
today.
big. It's like a big
check
shoe
every
on your
box.
foot.
Him, me, to him, to him. I'm doing the Inter Milan Air Max 97.
Friends and families.
Not the Friends and Families. These are the regular version. Yeah,
Hard shoe.
love them.
I know I disappointed Bimma. I was wearing Sauconys yesterday in the rain.
How dare you?
Another rainy day shoe. These are the Adsum Merrills.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Still
he's-
approved in the Wolverine
Yeah.
hub.
All in the family.
Looks like he's ready to take on any Mother Nature force that comes his way.
And we recently found out too that Wolverine makes the suede for New Balance.
Yeah, Wolverine silky suede.
Yeah.
So that's what I put on these.
Oh.
It's
That's
the
a
best
specific
way.
suede, silky suede.
It's a specific suede in the catalog, and arguably I say it's the best suede in the catalog. Just to say, so anybody going to do collabs or do projects, go ask them for the Wolverine silky suede.
Okay.
If you don't know, don't let them bring you a different supplier. I'm telling you, it's the best. Just
You
saying.
heard it. Wow.
This is real
That's
industry
a-
insight.
yeah,
This is
listen,
this is an insider
gem.
episode.
Just saying, it's more expensive, but it's the best.
You got a big weekend ahead of you.
Yeah, man. I was telling Welty, I guess I'm a little bit crazy because I put a lot of things on this weekend. So, we got the launch event on the 29th, which is my birthday. So Joe's gonna miss my birthday.
I'm
no
sorry.
shade.
I'm sorry.
But then the launch is Saturday, so tomorrow. And then, then I'm doing a marathon that Sunday.
Wow.
So it's a 3-peat weekend.
Did you ever run in the East? What's it? Sorry, the Coast to Coast.
Hood to Coast.
Sorry,
Hood to Coast.
Did you ever run in the Hood to Coast with him?
No, I didn't run with him, but I've done it. I've done it twice.
Yeah.
Did you run past him or? Wait a minute.
saw him going along down the road in the soccer?
Okay.
I want no shade. I'm not matching mile times. I
Okay.
think Brendan's got me anyway.
No way.
Maybe.
No way.
Maybe.
You're a track star.
Nah. I'm a
Did you
retired
run
track
track?
star. I did.
What
I did.
distance?
Yeah, I was a middle distance runner. I was an 800-meter runner. But I didn't run in college. I ran all the way up to college. I did elementary to college. to high school, and in college I decided to drink.
All right. I was
and
a
party.
miler. 800 a little too fast for me.
He was a miler?
Yeah.
Why didn't I know these things?
Yeah, the best mile ever ran Armory 449.
You were 449?
Yeah, indoors. Which
So he
Kipchoge
could do the
numbers.
Kipchoge challenge.
the what?
We were talking about this. Do you want to tell him real quick?
You can do the Kipchoge challenge. So you can get on the treadmill. They set it to his marathon time, his mile pace,
Okay.
and it's trying to see how long you could do it. Trying to see if you can last for a mile. You think you can last for a mile right now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Nowadays,
I put the incline on very slow speed. I get off there. I have Achilles problem for a week. So no, I cannot do that challenge.
you're gonna crumble the midsoles just from the force of the calves.
Just
on
me
the
and the-
95.
Me and the Air Max 270 on the treadmill trying to do
Oh,
this
no.
challenge. No,
No.
I'm
Don't do it to
wearing
yourself.
Asics.
Please.
Don't wear an Asics.
Good.
Bimma, what I want to talk to you about is like before even like he kind of put me on to you and we got familiar, and then obviously throughout the years we did stuff together. We did at Complex Con. One thing that stuck out to me that I always loved is like people from Portland would hit me up about you, and it was people who I really really respected, Jesse,
Yeah.
and John Wexler,
Yeah.
and it kind of like your career kind of started around those brands, you would say.
Yeah,
and across different brands. What was it like coming up and working at like Nike and then and you worked at Adidas as well?
Yeah, I worked at both.
So what experiences were it like as a young person right in the epicenter of Portland?
Man, it was crazy, especially because I didn't know that existed, prior to, right? And I think that's the difference that people don't realize when you get in the industry is like, you're either going to Boston or you're either going to Portland because that's where the brands are. And so when you're down in Louisiana, you can't bump into a senior executive walking down the street in Portland. And that's what would happen all the time, right? And so like Wex and I are good friends now. Like I go to his house, we have coffee, we chill, whatever, shoot the shit. But like that's the thing that I think is so important. But as far as working at the brands, like when I got to Adidas in 2017.
How old were you?
I was 30, 31.
Okay.
Yeah. So like we're talking like Adidas is booming at this time. And what's crazy about it is I remember when I was leaving Boston and I was talking to Jay Gordon at Bodega and I was like, hey Jay, I'm gonna go do the thing.
And you were at Saucony.
I was at Saucony at the time.
Yeah, living in Boston,
right?
working at Saucony.
And at Saucony, I left Saucony as a business unit manager. I was the youngest business unit manager. I was overseeing our lifestyle business. It was about $50 million at the time. And so I left to go to Adidas, and Jay was like, sure you want to do that? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm young. I wanted something bigger. I wanted to just have a bigger brand presence. And he was like, just be careful. He's like, just be careful. You never know what happens over there.
Meaning what?
Okay.
In the sentiment of a lot of retailers, they feel like Adidas goes through cycles. And the sentiment is that, they haven't been the number one brand. And so usually when they have a hot streak, and they always have a hot streak, retailers feel like they dropped the ball.
They can't hold on to the lead a little bit, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
My theory was, being a big Adidas fan, that the brand got hot, 2013, 2014, like right end of 2013, Stan Smith, NMD, Yeezy, et cetera, and they go on a massive growth spurt. Not just sales wise, but internally. They like triple hire so many people. There was a story that came out, there wasn't enough parking spaces in Portland for the employees.
That's true. We were parking in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and there was trouble for that. But did you feel like that the company just grew so fast and hired so many people that it almost like lost its way, or they didn't understand the culture of the company, or I don't know.
I think it's like you have so many different things happening, right? You got the global headquarters is in Germany, right? And so that's already a different cultural kind of system of being, right? And then you have this office in Portland that's North America driven. It's a whole different set of priorities. And so when you're growing, it's got to be a bit of a disconnect. But, they were doing all that they could to try to wrangle it in and bring everyone together. But it was just so much happening at once. Yeah. It's kind of hard to imagine, like, how do you keep your hand on all of this good stuff happening? But you got to pace yourself. And when you think about other brands like Patagonia, they intentionally slowed their growth because they were like, we want to sustainably grow over the next, 100 years, I think is in an interview Yvon Chouinard said. And so it's just a different practice. But yeah, when I was heading over, that was the sentiment from Jay, but I didn't experience any of the downturn. I was only a part of a lot of the up because I was there from 17 to 19. Not many people know this, but I would say I was working on the Black Ops team, special projects is what we usually say.
Okay.
But I went there to work on Yeezy. And so when I was working on Yeezy, I'm in the morgue, we don't really have much access to the rest of the brand. We got access to the board, leadership, and then we're kind of flying all over the place. But that's why I went, and the team I was working with, incredible people. Wex, Rachel Muscat, Ray Boyd.
Shouts to Ray
Chris
Boyd.
McLean.
Ray Boyd. Do you know about Ray Boyd?
Yeah, I know about Ray Boyd, but the connection to you, no.
Me and Ray Boyd worked in the mall for years together.
Yo, that's
Finish
wild.
Field, finish line. Yes.
Wow, we're going all the way back.
Ray is very quiet about what he.
Yes.
So. Amazing connection. Ray Boyd, when I tell you guys, years. Shouts to Ray Boyd. I love that he came up. But so that Yeezy team, wow, small world.
Small world. I mean, it was a lot of cats. And if you look in the industry now, you see how they've spread out throughout the industry, and they have an impact in so many different brands.
Shout out to Rachel, too.
Shout out to Rachel. You see what she's doing with Human Race and Pharrell. Cedric Hudson went over to do apparel. Now he's head of VP of men's at Fabletics. Jason Grisby's over at Jordan Brand now. Felix
are all
is in different
people who are
places.
on the
All the different
Yeezy
people
team.
on the Yeezy team.
Yeah.
You know,
You were there when they had like the short-lived Calabasas design factory studio that went super awry, but
I was there.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of trips going to
What was
Calabasas.
like one crazy day there? Like in terms of, we hear about how crazy it was like working in the peak Yeezy, but like give us a example of like a day during the week.
I'm gonna give you a crazier story.
Okay.
So when you work on Yeezy, it's day to day. You don't know what the next day is gonna be like. And one of the things that would happen is Ye would be like, let's go to Guangzhou and finish these samples.
Fly
And
out to China.
Just fly out to China, 7 days notice. And on this particular trip, we were finishing the 700. We were working on the basketball shoe. And I think we were working on maybe the 500 too.
Okay.
And what we didn't know was that there were folks going to be joining on this trip.
Okay.
And so some of the other folks that joined was definitely Cuddy. They were working on the Kith Ghost. But the most hilarious addition to the trip was Sheck West.
oh
And
yeah,
we're
he said
talking
he was
about very young Sheck West.
Okay.
he was
at the
involved
time.
with the Yeezy basketball
Yeah.
shoe. He said,
Yeah, because he was a baller.
He was a baller.
Yeah.
So we're in a factory, y'all. And we got all these workers there, and you got to be like focused because you're trying to get stuff done because we only got so much time. We're trying to leave with finished samples. And he's there with like this Beats pill, and like he's playing his song, and he's rapping, "Live Sheck West,
Ha.
die Sheck West." And like
In the
you're trying
factory.
to focus in the factory, and he's damn near performing the whole time.
Trying to keep the vibes up.
Look,
Did Kanye like it? Did he like that energy?
he appreciated the energy,
Okay.
man. But Sheck had a lot of opinions. I worked on the Yeezy team as a product line manager.
Okay.
So I was on the product marketing side. We're doing rollouts. We're trying to figure out the size of the business. I was working on 350 V2, so the running category. Me and Ray are the one of two PLMs with $1
Shouts
billion
to-
under our name. So
One thing about Ray before, I don't want to interrupt you, but I have to get this out. Ray Boyd, one of the first people with a Techno Marine watch. Techno Marine, I remember, he'll remember too. He went to Torno, I couldn't get it. I got it like a year later. Ray Boyd had a Techno Marine. I was always
He
like,
had it.
damn, fly. Sorry.
yo, yeah.
No, I need that stat again.
Yes.
Yeah, me and Ray are one of two to have $1 billion under our name at Adidas. So we're working on Yeezy. It was a very slim team. And then we had Lauren Seibel, who now works with Rachel over Human Race. She was a part of that team. But we did numbers. We did numbers.
Next stop is the Billy. Him and Ray said, I'm already the GOAT. Next stop is the Billy.
numbers. But
Wow.
I'll tell you another funny story from that trip. So, yeah, he likes to hang around the designers, the business people, not so much.
Okay.
And we were in the room on this trip, and he and I hadn't had that much interaction. Like, we've had interaction, but not that detailed interaction. And so I'm there in this room with a bunch of designers, Sarah Sabino and some of the other folks on the team. And we're trying to finish up the 700, trying to get it out the door. Everybody knows it's about to be a massive shoe. And we're there, and the designers are all doing Photoshops. And so he's walking around the room, and he looks at my laptop, and it's just spreadsheets. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
let's get to the money.
Yeah.
And he goes out the room, and then like I think Matt George comes to the door, and he's like, "Bimma." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Kanye said you weren't doing no Photoshops, so he only want Photoshops in the room."
I don't know anything about layers.
I was like, "Damn!" So I got kicked out the room, man.
Damn.
These stories you can look back on fondly now, but I have to ask about the working conditions being on that Yeezy team. I know all these people, you've talked about, you have, like I said, fond memories with them. They went on to do incredible things, but we've seen so many reports in the wake of the Yeezy business falling apart about how toxic it was and how difficult it was to work under those conditions. I know you've done a lot more in the industry, but just speaking on that, do you agree with those depictions of what it was like working for Ye in the Yeezy business at Adidas?
I can't speak for everyone's experience, but what I'll say about my own experience was my challenges came along when slavery was a choice, and it was more so like that's Ye's choice to express how he wants to express. That's
The
his
infamous
decision.
TMZ interview.
The TMZ interview. What I had challenges with was how Adidas decided to handle it with Adidas employees and the Adidas brand. And so there's I'm told things are coming out, but essentially it's documented my response to that, right? And so we had, this team meeting, and I went toe to toe with our leadership on that. And my question was, how can you expect me to show up to work and give all that I give to this team, all of my colleagues to this team, if we don't feel like the values that we carry are represented here, and you're not saying anything about it otherwise, right? And so, we really had to break that down and go into that. And so my experience started to deteriorate really after that moment. And I didn't really feel that the brand was displaying what its actual values and morals are in regards to what do you think about slavery in America, and how do you care about who I am and how I have to navigate this world? Because at the end of the day, I'm working for the brand within the brand that's closing the books and closing, making sure we hit numbers every quarter. So I have to know you care about what it is that I am as a human in order for me to feel like I care about hitting these numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So so my experience would start to deteriorate from there, because I just couldn't really get an understanding from the brand what the brand stands for, you know? And so that's actually a part of the process that, and again, I try to say, like, any negative or bad experience can also be a positive experience. And that's honestly, without that experience, I wouldn't have started to think about Claima. I wouldn't have started to think about, like, well, hell, what else is out there? What else can I do? So that was the beginning of it.
And after that, you went to Nike. Like, did that prompt you to leave, or
no? I tried to stay. I'll be honest.
Oh.
I tried to stay. I did a lot of different things to try to stay. But one of the things that was most interesting that most people don't know is that there's like a 10% aspect of Claima that was initially pitched to Adidas.
Okay.
And Adidas punted on it.
Okay.
At the time. And I did this whole tour and spoke to every VP and all the things they asked me to do. But ultimately, it went a different direction.
Was it trying to set up an agency within?
No, it was this concept where for a show where we can have open dialogue with the roster of talent that was in the portfolio, but also use it as a means to explore these topics that were difficult, but also topics that were just fun and exciting and launches and things like that. And at the time, no one was really seeing the vision or really listening, And so I didn't take it as a L. I just figured out, well, let's see how we can do this outside the system on our own. Because a lot of times what, people don't say in these brands is working through a machine can be really difficult. But every brand that I've worked for, I've only worked on the outside skirts of the brands, right? So at Saucony, I really worked on, most of my career was in collabs. When I got to Adidas, we're talking Yeezy, that's outside of the system. And then Nike, I'm on Nike Entertainment, that's also outside of the system. We never go through the normal protocols that the rest of the businesses would go through because we're trying to get faster. We're working with creative partners who 9 times out of 10 work in music. So you're telling them a sneaker needs to come to market in 18 months. They're like, you're crazy. I could release a song tomorrow that I recorded last night. Yeah. And so it's a different approach. So I decided it was best to do it differently.
I want to go back, and when you left Adidas to go to Nike Entertainment, what you learned from working with the biggest entertainer in the sneaker space, how did that kind of prepare you for Nike Entertainment? Was it similar in terms of like how much of like a workload it was, or was the Adidas Yeezy model bespoke compared to anything else?
Yeah, it's night and day. Nike's definitely got their own way of doing things. Adidas has their.
Yeah, there we go.
But Phil Knight.
I knew it was coming.
Sorry.
I knew it was coming.
Sorry.
A little late, but it was coming.
No, and Adidas has their way of doing things. Nike. It's crazy to get in there and see all of the different folks that work on the different things within Nike Entertainment that makes it all happen. Like, it's so many different folks, and shout out to everybody that I got to work with there because it's remarkable.
What was one project that sticks out that you really enjoyed, Nike Entertainment?
Oh my goodness, working on Travis.
Okay.
Yeah. And what was Cactus Jack was amazing experience. I got to work across the Nike SB drop. I also got to work on the 270 drop. And
so you hooked him up with Mick Foley?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry, I can't say that. But also, you know what was dope was my last kind of foray with Nike was New York Fashion Week 2020. It was February. It was right before everything shut down. Yeah. So I'm sure everybody had COVID then.
Yeah. Was it the big? That was at the big.
The Nike
that was
Forum
a big.
event.
That was a big
always
forum
talk
event.
about.
Yeah, that was a big forum event, and so
You were there with Stash and Errolson.
Errolson. I was, we were walking around. It was crazy, but it was also the time that I realized like that was such a weird event for me because it was also the time that I had like the big aha moment.
Yeah.
Which was like, oh, I'm probably gonna walk away from all of this.
Right.
But like, don't kid me not. Like, it was crazy. Like, it's the first time meeting Drake and his whole team. Shout out to Gabrielle. It was crazy. It was a crazy time. But literally in that moment, well, I thought it was incredible because like we're doing the elevator shot that ended up like circulating.
The freight elevator.
Yeah, the freight elevator shot, and it's Virgil's there. And then you got Billie Eilish, you got Errolson, you got
Matthew Williams, right?
Matthew Williams, like Rosalia, Travis is there. You got all these people there. And it was a beautiful moment. And then like all I'm thinking about is like, man, I kind of want to go do my podcast.
But how do you walk away from that? Because you're a person who grinded all the way to this position, and then you're here at Nike, and you have what sounds like from the outside one of the cooler jobs at Nike, where you get to interact with all these gigantic stars and produce cool product.
Yeah. How
do you decide to give that up?
It goes back to purpose, and my purpose had changed from the time when I was, the 9-year-old that has Jordan 3s, and then goes to having Concord 11s to like becoming a 33-year-old at that point. 18-year-old me is ecstatic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could have all the sneakers in the world, and I'm hanging out with all these incredible people, and this is dope. But what I couldn't figure out for me was like, how does this impact the kids that grow up in Louisiana like me? And the reason that was on my mind was because a homegirl of mine had said, yo, you're doing all these dope things. We don't know how you got there or how you do that. And so it really was like, there was a disconnect. Like, it was dope. It was flashy. And I loved it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm still like the same cat wants the sneakers, anytime I get an airship from James and the crew, I'm putting them on. You know what I mean? Or if I get some from whoever, like Joe Fresh, all the guys, like, I love it. But if I can't connect it back to kind of more of a fulfilling side of it, where I feel like this information is helping somebody beyond just buying a sneaker. Can I help them, figure out their creative project? Can I help them put some money in their pocket? Can I help them make their day-to-day better? Then it's a disconnect for me. And the thing that was happening with Claima that I didn't realize because it was so new, and like this has started before I got to Nike, it was this duality happening. So I'm at Nike, I'm in my dream job, and it's like crazy. I'm getting all these experiences. Like, I could hit Errolson now, we could still rap, which is so dope. Or Yoon, like really genuine relationships. But then like I get these kids in Ghana that are hitting me on Instagram saying, hey, I just heard this interview that you did, with Frank Cook. Yeah. And this is my first insight deep dive down into like how these things work. And I was like, oh, wow, like in real time, like I can actually impact and help people.
And I bet you got a similar feeling, even probably more of a validating feeling from that DM compared to the freight elevator image. Yeah. It's also like that image to me, it seems like what you're describing is like you're looking at it as like kind of a point where you're like, it may never be like this again, and now it's time for me to kind of go on my own.
I mean, does it get better?
From that...
You know what I mean? Yeah, like it's everybody in one place.
Right.
It's Virgil,
like
RP to Verge, and it's like this is like, wow, like that's it's massive. And then coming off of Yeezy, does it get bigger?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting though because I know we kind of like skimmed over it at first, but you start at Saucony, right? And Saucony's having a bit of a resurgence now, but you were there when the company had its first sort of resurgence in the collaboration space.
I mean, so you think about it. When I got to Saucony in 2013, Originals is bubbling, right? Yeah. Bodega's doing a lot of work.
A couple projects.
You do like Packer,
the end clothing,
Extra Butter, where I met Jason.
Mm.
Yeah, Foot Patrol is doing projects. Mm-hmm. When I came in, it was just Mike Hughes. Shout out to Mike. Without Mike and Sean and Chris, like we're not sitting here having this conversation because they allowed me to come in and with no proven experience in a professional sense, but all street smarts, they allowed me to come in and start to impact things. And so when I was there, the next year that business was $13 million. Because of Mike, I was coloring up Grid 9000s, and we ended up doing double digits in 2015 in Foot Locker, and they were like, we hadn't done this in years. And so by the time I get to the time where I'm leading it, it goes from 13 to 50 million. And like Originals is a thing. Like it's a business that like Saucony Wolverine cares about. And I'm like 30 and I don't have a clue as to what the hell I'm doing, but I'm excited about it. And it's just crazy to me to think like to have those different experiences in this industry, but they did happen fast. And I wonder if they happened slower, would I be thinking about my career differently? But you know, in the way that it happened to Adidas, it kind of happened to my career. Like I got a lot of these things in a short amount of time.
Like boom, boom, boom.
It was like hot moments at the right time. But I've been working my ass off for years to get there. But it was all kind of happening at once.
You did the pumpkin spice latte shoe?
I did do pumpkin spice
for the pumpkin spice girlies
at Saucony. That was
Grid
like
SD. We worked with Maura Cunningham on those. She did the legwork on it, and she and I have we work together. That
was like a viral shoe at the time.
It was.
It pumpkin spice season right now.
You saw it all across like Vogue, Fashionista.
Yeah, Cosmo picked it up.
Nice.
It was crazy. I was like, we didn't expect that, but it was great.
But then you go, you do that, you go away, but now you come back to Saucony. How like validating was it that it's like the store, like the prodigal son, like you come back home and now you have a different, like literally a different seat at the table.
I like the way that I show up now a lot more because I feel like a partner, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's business to business, it's B2B versus me trying to work my way up as an employee. It feels surreal, if I'm being honest with you, because you never think when you go out to do your own thing, especially 3 years after starting that thing, that you'd be able to come back into the industry in this way and have the support in this way. I'm still processing it. Probably you could tell as we talk about it right now. But, for me, Saucony always resonated because I've always felt like that underdog. And Saucony doesn't necessarily get too much of the credit, even when they do a lot of consistent good projects. And a lot of the people are still there. Andrea Paulson, I worked with, she's always been in the product side. And she was the first person that let me come in and she taught me how to use Illustrator. She allowed me to work on the Diction Trainer, which became this thing called the Lodge Pack, based off of the Yucatan. Y'all remember Yucatan brand, the backpacks? They had like these wool backpacks with like the leather trim on them.
Yeah.
They were great.
He's an outdoorsman. So.
It's good, man. And, so I get to go back and I get to see all of them as I'm walking through, the campus. And a lot of them are just like, it's been amazing to see what you've been able to do since you left. And it's just a lot of admiration. And also because I really run, so that's the other reason I love the brand is like, I'm really a runner. Plus I can tap into the heritage at the same time. So it's been a great experience and got to work with a friend from New Orleans, John Humphrey, Beignets Boys. He helped design this colorway. So it's been really dope to have that moment.
One thing I want to ask you, you would know this. I always hear like, when you're working for one of the big brands, whether it's Nike, Adidas, you've had conversations like, I think, I don't want to speak for everyone, but like I think in this industry, working for like a Nike or an Adidas is a semi-dream for most people in this industry.
Absolutely.
And you flirt with it during your career. I know that, like I have.
Yeah.
But one thing that was always like a direct message was like, if you want to make it, you have to move to Portland for these brands. How true do you think that is?
It's 100% true.
And why?
It's proximity.
Okay.
Is what I tell everyone. This industry is all relationships. You can be as amazing at anything that you want to do, but if you're going to get in, and you can get recruited from the outside. I got recruited from the outside. Okay. Not a lot of people know that. I got recruited because of a community I built in Louisiana online, right? So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Saucony was reaching out, Brooks was reaching out, Adidas was reaching out. I got recruited in that way, but they didn't say you could stay in Louisiana. They said, are you going to move to Boston to help run social media? So it was a trade-off, right? And that's a hard thing to leave home. I think for anybody to leave where you're from to go for a job is a huge difference. If you're going to be in the industry, you have to be willing to do that because the business happens in Portland It happens in Boston, and sometimes it happens in LA, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing some of these campuses.
And New York, right?
And New
Sometimes,
York,
yeah.
But you're going to have to move because that's where everyone is. That's where the product is. That's where the plans are. The agency's coming to town there. Why do you think Wyden is in Portland? It's not somewhere else because their client is Nike. They want to be where their client is. You're going to have to figure out how you make that change. And you got to build relationships. I could run into anyone at any dinner at any point in time in Portland without trying.
Wow.
Right.
That's really interesting because like everyone is always like, oh, New York, you go out and you go to dinner, you may see someone but it's like really like that.
Portland's small.
Yeah.
Like you will see everyone in a single night.
Do you like
if you know who you're looking for?
Do you like it?
I do. I love it.
Yeah.
I love being able to run into people. You come into town, I run into you.
Of course. How could you not? How could you
Actually,
not?
sometimes we do. We always see each other when I'm in town, but sometimes we do just run into each other.
Sometimes we do. Like Miami, we ran into each other. I didn't know you were gonna be there, so that was dope.
Do you feel like I'd put this out there like a while back where I felt like when you see the emergence of these smaller brands, Saucony and New Balance, a Mizuno, etc., the companies are so much smaller than a Nike or Adidas. And I feel like at least from our space or a Solomon, etc., you get to know the employees more behind the brands because there's so
small.
So few of them, but it almost feels like the employees at those brands or the collaborators really get to drive where the companies are going because it's almost their vision instead of just being a cog in this big Nike machine where you just have a function at some point. Do you feel like that's why these brands have been able
to come back?
Yeah, they have passionate employees that really
they're
push
entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
If those brands are thriving, it's likely because of one or two people who have a vision and they're convincing leadership and their colleagues to support them. But their colleagues have like all these other business priorities. So what they're doing may be slightly adjacent to what the rest of the brand is doing. So internally, they are entrepreneurs that are trying to figure it the hell out. And they're trying to figure out what resources they can, and they're likely don't have a lot of the support that the other parts of the brand have, right? And so they may not have dedicated marketing. They may not have dedicated sales. I know they don't have dedicated budget, right? So they're literally trying what they can. And so a lot of times that's how collaborations become such a focal point, is because it's not as much of an upfront investment, right? The money comes on the back end where everybody gets paid through the sales of the sneakers. And so if you can work with, say, what Jay does with Jay Tips, right? It's been beautiful to see how that relationship has been able to help the brand. When you look over at New Balance and the strategy they've been running since 2014, consistently really growing with different creators. Like, the reason for that is because, like, you're not going to get a 10 million, 50 million, 100 million marketing budget, right? You're not going to get the budget to have a 70-person team headcount. So they're like, how can we do this externally to try to grow it? But they're entrepreneurs. I mean, when I was there, we're very entrepreneurial. I had a very small team when I worked at Saucony, but we got a lot done. One of the best things I think we did was this focus on digital. It was at the time when sneaker brands were not touching YouTubers. They were not touching YouTubers at all.
You did that big YouTube sneaker collection.
We had a whole program around YouTubers. We gave them their first collabs, Tony D. Two Wild, Bull, T. Blake. It was so many of these different cats that were incredible. And I was like, yo, what if we gave them their own projects? They're already talking about us. It was 2015. We're not competing with Rihanna at Puma. We're not competing with Ye. Man. We're not competing with Drake. So I was like, cool, let them have the top tier. Let us go touch this market that no one else is touching. Yeah. And then, a year later, Adidas is running the program and somebody else is running the program.
And copied your homework?
I'm just saying.
No, I feel like those small brands always win like that. Leo at Reebok was doing similar things where you can be sooner on smaller entities and be cutting edge in that way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
By the way, I don't want to leave this out. You were talking about earlier in the program all the things you got going on this weekend. One of them is you're also running the Portland Marathon. To take it back to Portland real quick, are we wearing Sauconys for that?
Yeah, we may have a PE that's coming out.
PE. A PE.
A Portland exclusive? PE.
I'm running in the Endorphin Pro 3.
Did you just drop that? I'm sorry. We can't skim over Joe La Puma.
I'm not saying it again. Exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that's the exciting part for me about working with Saucony, is that I can I can authentically go across both sides now, right? I can go into the performance world because I'm actually going to be running marathons, and I can go into the lifestyle. And I'm a real runner. I'm not running for time this marathon, though, Brendan. I'm running to finish.
Being humble.
I'm not trying to qualify for Boston. I'm going to finish. I just want to finish. But that's the exciting part to me is like I've always felt like this kind of, in ways, been the outsider when we look at sneakers, because a lot of times running has not been a part of the community, but it's becoming that way. Like a lot of creatives are running now, which is actually quite dope to see, and they're being vocal about it. But I don't know too many that actually are running and doing the performance product at the same time. And so to me, it's a unique opportunity for us to be able to do that authentically. And I'm very excited about that. But these endorphins are crazy.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
You don't have a time in mind at all for the Portland Marathon?
No, man, I'm exhausted. I feel like I put that out there.
Yeah, you want me to
The rabbit?
You come run.
The rabbit goes.
No. I mean, I like to know these Portland stories, not only from a selfish standpoint, because, I'm originally from out there, but also your place in the industry is so interesting to me, being in Portland and operating within these sneaker brands, because Claima is about, to some extent, highlighting people of color creators and, people who don't usually have these voices or these seats at the table. So I want to know kind of more about your experiences being a black man in Portland or in the sneaker industry, and how hard it is to see people who look like you or find your community, whether it's in the industry or in Portland specifically.
I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. So when I was at Saucony, we're in the building owned by Wolverine. So it's the Boston brands. You got Spirit, you got Kids, and you got Stride right at the time at Saucony. I'm the only black professional in that building. It's like 400 people, right? And so that comes with its own set of challenges. When I left and went to Adidas, it was my first time ever in my professional career in sneakers seeing hundreds of black people and brown people that worked in the space, right? And so initially it was just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Later you'd be like, well, why are we not in leadership? But that's a whole nother story.
Sure.
But so what that did for me was just like, wow, like we're actually here. This is not an anomaly. Like I belong in this space. But it also, as I started to realize, like it was kind of bare minimum in a way, I was like, well, why aren't we here? Why don't we know? And what I would start to realize is that a lot of folks in my community just didn't have exposure to a lot of the stories, or that the fact that, Dwayne Edwards was a designer at Jordan Brand, or the fact that Wilson Smith existed, or what James Whitner is building with the Whitaker Group. Yeah. They didn't know these things were happening, or, Melody Asani, like what? Like, you can do a lot of these different things, but you got to understand how they started, what resources they had, what support they have. And so that's why I think it's so important to tell these stories. Like, my parents were chemical plant workers. My mom saw me drawing sneakers in elementary school and thought I was nuts, because she's never met a single person in her life that was able to pay their bills doing that. And so in ways, my career had been resistance to having to go down this traditional path. Like, I remember my first job was like at an insurance company, and I hated every second of it. I was 15. I've been working since I was 14.
Wow. Claim adjuster.
I'm just saying, man. I was you want
me
like
to
that? That's why you think the word claim is important.
Let's go. Let's go.
So, man, to be able to work in the space, it took a lot. Like, it took a lot of me bumping my head and not having folks that could tell me what and how to get to these places. So I feel like my job is to figure out how to cut that time in half for other people. And it doesn't matter the age. You can decide to pivot a career no matter what age you are. But if I can also impact, this generation coming up, and also my peers, I got so many peers that come up to me that want to switch careers. They may want to go the entrepreneurial path. And that's why I think these stories are so important, because it gives them the insights into how we do it. And like, you listen to our show, is like, it's hella detailed when it comes down to like how you can make these things real. And I try to encourage a lot of guests to give real facts. So if I can get into numbers, I try to get into numbers too, because it doesn't happen fast, right? It happens slow in any career, whether that's a professional career or entrepreneurial career. It does not happen fast. It happens quite slow.
Do you ever try and convince people not to go into the sneaker industry? Because you've done it. You spent the years at Adidas, at Nike, and Saucony, and maybe you might realize or think sometimes it's not all it's cracked up to be.
I'll just say it's not for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody's got to go their own path. Don't get me wrong. Like, the one thing that I will say about my
is it actually
experience,
fun? You know, like
I think it's absolutely fun, and it depends on where you're at and where you are, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you think about brands we may not typically talk about, but like a Hey Do, for example, that was acquired by Crocs. I gotta imagine they're having a blast. I have to imagine they're having a blast.
They make so much money
They make so much money.
It's one of those brands where it's
great.
like,
what is the brand? I'm sorry.
Hey, dude,
I just nodded like, yeah, I know what that is. I don't know what that is.
It's one of those things.
What is it?
I was having a conversation with someone about it recently. It's like one of the bigger sneaker brands right now, and you're like, I don't know anyone. You don't know anyone who wears it, but then you see the shoe.
Yeah.
It's like every 50-year-old white guy at the gas station is wearing that.
Is wearing
sneaker.
that shoe. It's a $2 billion company. And then you think about On Running, massive growth, right? They just talked about what Roger Federer's
These are the Hey Dudes?
investment is. You're trying to pull them up. There's got to be, when brands are making money, it's typically a great experience when you're working there because there's so many opportunities. People are getting bonuses. People can, go explore and try different things. You can make mistakes. But also I would say is the network that I built by working at these different companies, all of those folks support me still to this day.
One last thing that I've been thinking about recently, when you talk about getting into the sneaker industry, and because worked retail for all these years, or I did, and one of the things that people, I think, originally get into the sneaker industry or get into retail is because they want free shoes, right? Or they want to get access to shoes, they want discounts to shoes. But I always felt like if that was your end game, you're either going to be disappointed or it's going to be short-lived, because if you're solely working someplace just so you can get sneakers instead of being fulfilled by the work or the job itself, then it's not going to work out in the long run.
It's fleeting.
Yeah.
It's anything that you start to get consistently over time will start to lose its allure. It's like getting a new car. You love that new car for 3 weeks and then you stop cleaning it. Like, sneakers can kind of happen like that in a way. I'm not saying it's not exciting, because there are always going to be projects where you're like, oh my God, like I need to have these right now. Like, that's always going to happen. Like when we worked at Yeezy, when we were working on the 700s, every single one of us that worked on that shoe was like, no, I need these. I need these now. Yeah. But what could happen is, like, once you start to get stuff often, you can start to not be as appreciative of it, and then you start to having to go down the path of like, wait, why am I here? I'm here for free sneakers. There's got to be more than free sneakers.
Like, if you don't love the work itself,
if you don't love the work, there's no point in going. You have to love the work, because it's not going to always be free sneakers. It may be 1,001 samples, iterations, and that is not necessarily the funnest part, because you may feel like, yo, we're done. Like, this is done.
We're done.
This is done. And we're going to the next sample.
We talked about the Forum event a lot. Did you get to interact with Virgil during those years? And what was it like as him, like the nucleus of that group, essentially?
Man, I got a little bit of interaction with Virgil there, but I got more interaction with him when I was able to interview him through a project with Converse. And everything they say about Virgil is true. Just an incredible creative, super humble. And the thing that I love about his process, and I also observed it with him and Ye, is that explore all of the ideas. And that's something that you see when we went to the exhibit last year in Miami. You got to see all of the ideas versus editing things down. It's like, try every single idea. And that's what I, now it's like, I do a better job of asking, like, well, can we try this? Can we try this? What about this? Versus just like taking an answer right off the bat, because that's not necessarily going to be the right thing. And don't accept no. A lot of times it's not no. It's just like, in that moment, it may not work, but you have to be able to be patient or decisive to know that. Virgil, also what he unlocked for possibility. Just like seeing the breadth and the way that he would work. And how kind he was to people. You don't have stories about him like going off on people. He was always extremely kind, extremely patient. And I believe that shows, and that's the legacy that will live on.
Well, I get asked this a lot. You guys, I'm sure, too. You could work in this industry. You could do so many different things. But the most consistent question I get is, when are you going to get your own shoe? And I'm always like, it's not going to, or is it a dream to work on your own shoe? Talk about the feeling of getting your own shoe. We just went through all your history, and you've bounced around with brands, and now with the agency, and you're in media. What's it like getting your own shoe, though?
Man, the best part about getting your own shoes, being able to share it with the people that helped you get here, right? And so I remember my days camping out. I remember my days working in boutiques. And, you know, one of those people that was in line with me is my friend John Humphrey. And John and I are just these super fans. And we would go to, you know, the shop called Ruckus down in Baton Rouge. Shout out to Ronnie. And we always dreamed of this moment, you know, but it's taken years for this moment to happen. And so when Jason agreed to do the project, the first call I made was like, hey, I could do this by myself and it could be horrible. Would you help me bring this to life? Because I know it means something to you. And, you know, I always say, like, sneakers will always be a part of me. But my main thing now, as you said, it is media. Like, sneakers is no longer my main thing. It is John's main thing. And I felt like the best thing that I could do for my friend is to bring him into this project. And now it's a representation for, you know, not only all of the creatives and what that means to them, but it's also back to home. I want to make sure, like, folks knew that, yo, I know it's taken a while. I know we've done different things, but, like, you can literally do this. And I know it's like, it's not the easiest thing, but it just means so much to know that I didn't do it in a selfish manner. It's not about me. It's actually about the community. And that's why I appreciate this so much. And the fact that it's just a lot of, like, full circle things kind of happening all at one time. But it's a dream come true. Like, this is one of the things I've always wanted to do forever. And to not ever have a clear path to get here, to figuring out, you know, Pandora's box is fire.
It's a good moment.
Yeah. Sorry, I got to add another question. I think we'd kick ourselves if we didn't ask about this.
No, I got more.
Oh, do you? Yeah. Well, this. I'm glad that you probably haven't, but you talk about media. You have multiple interviews with a subject who is super rare to get an interview with. Tyler, the Creator, someone whose taste level is very, very superior right now. Yeah. What was it like not interviewing him, but how he talks about product and, like, spending time with him?
You know, the great thing about Tyler is he's authentically passionate. He's not a passive creator. He's not just signing off on things. He's involved in every part of that process. So he gets genuinely excited. And I remember when we were getting ready to do the Paris interview last year, he had just received one of the cuts for the commercials that they were working on. And, you know, typically folks could be a little bit cagey about sharing that type of stuff, but he genuinely wanted the feedback. And so I remember him, like, he'd tired, he'd been traveling. He's like, but yo, bro, come look at this, come watch this. Yeah. And his excitement just excites you. But he's also, like, cares about the quality. He knows, right, about what he's making. He knows the vendors, he knows the suppliers, he knows the materials. And that part to me is where I can level with him, because I'm like, yo, I worked on these things. So, like, that's exciting to me that you actually know what's going on, right? And, you know, he was very honest about, like, why he partnered with Converse, right? He had tried to do his own thing before, and Pharrell had connected him with the Converse team. And then he ended up doing Converse. He's like, he tried doing his own. It's like, it's really hard to make a shoe and a last. It's like, that goes missed over a lot of people. Like, trying to get a shape is the hardest part of the process. Like, you know, the rest of the design, that's hard as well. But a shape could mess up an entire sneaker. Like, and next time,
not
you know,
anybody can do it.
And not everyone can do it. It takes a really skilled, right, developer to do that. Matt Wakefield is one of the best developers I've ever worked with in my life, and he's one of those people that can get shape.
Where does he work?
Better than anyone. He's over at Adidas. And we worked on Yeezy together. So, like, Matt's shaped so many of those products. So Tyler, you know, I think that part is what I love, but I also love the fact that he's the same person throughout every part of your interaction with Tyler, whether it's him pulling up in his BMW to him, like, after interviews taking like an hour to, like, speak to all of the kids that are there and take pictures. He's one of my favorite out right now, and definitely. I'm genuinely looking forward to the next project.
The best.
Awesome.
I got to ask one more thing on the Yeezy tip. I know we're hammering you with Yeezy question to an extent, and I know that anybody who has Yeezy on their resume somewhere gets hit up nonstop about this thing, but this is a current topic and relevant. I'm sure you saw this last week. Adidas CEO Bjorn Gulden was on a podcast, and it felt like he was speaking very freely and not thinking that carefully or being that calculated about his responses. And he asked about Ye and the deterioration of the partnership and all the anti-Semitic comments, and his response was, quote, "Very unfortunate because I don't think he meant what he said, and I don't think he's a bad person. It just came across that way, and that meant we lost that business, one of the most successful collabs in history." Kind of this weird comment, and Adidas comms had to make a statement right afterwards saying, we haven't changed our position on Ye. And then the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League said that they spoke to Adidas CEO Bjorn Gulden and said that he apologized for the comment. You being on the outside now, or maybe you still talk to people who are involved in these things, but was that just an off-the-cuff comment? A lot of people receive these things as Adidas leadership trying to test the waters for bringing that back one day. Do you just have any response to that, or how that could even happen?
See, you're like me. Anytime I hear comments like that, I'm like, oh, we're trying to test the waters.
You think?
I mean, why else would you make the comment? There's no benefit to, in my opinion, to making the comment.
Yeah.
In order to kind of test and see what the public thinks about the statement. So I have no idea. I haven't asked anyone, but that's just my sentiment around it.
I just
I
don't
feel
know
like
how
you're
you
trying
could
to test the waters.
And if you're a leader like that, you have to be as calculated as possible with everything you say. So if you say something, it has to mean something.
I didn't know if it was one of those weird, like he was almost trying to appease the, you know how there's always people in the comments nowadays who are saying, who like the Kanye supporters still, and there's so many more of them than you even think. You probably even get people who's saying stuff now where they're like, oh, why are you hating on Ye? He's so whatever, yada, yada, yada. And I didn't know if that was like some sort of message to say, hey, we still aren't going to work with Kanye, but we don't want you to think that we're just stealing his designs and making money off of it. So we're going to throw this little thing out there. That's how maybe I took it, but.
No, I think it's a primer. I think it's a primer, and it could be in that regard. It could be a primer because they still trying to see if they can release shoes without the Yeezy branding on them, or it's a primer for maybe they want to go another direction. But I'm always a little cynical with things like that. I was like, you're not just saying that just to say it.
Anyways, the most important shoe, your shoe.
Yes.
This is the shoe we started closing this out on.
Absolutely. They release tomorrow.
ClaimaStories.com, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard.
Yes. Saucony 3D Grid Hurricane.
Yes. By John Acevedo and colorway by John Humphrey.
Okay. Look, from waiting in line to your own shoe.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
I appreciate it, fellas.
Yes.
Thank
I
you
wish
for
I
being
could be
here.
with you guys this weekend. I'll FaceTime you though.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see you in some
FaceTime
form.
in.
Okay.
Bimma, do you want to show off the shoes? You have the shoes here with you, right?
Before we go, let's see them.
I got shoes. I got shoes. Let me bring these out.
To not do a little bit of an unboxing.
Just a little bit. Got the Wolverine Silky Suede coming out the box.
Most importantly,
You gonna get Odell a pair?
I need to. But yeah, man, these are the kicks. We went simple. John had this vision. He took some inspiration from my uniform as well. He said you like simplicity, you like clean. I was like, yeah, I want to show off the design of the sneaker, right? And so we went Wolverine Silky Suede. We went off-white. One thing that did happen in the final sample approval when I went to Saucony, we had this tag initially on the tongue. It was, typical branded tag or whatnot. And I just decided to X-Acto knife it off because I just wasn't happy with it. And I was like, I feel like it looked cleaner. I just took it off, man. So that happened. That's why that doesn't exist there. And then the satin liner is actually a nod to a mentor. So it's a nod to James. James had the satin on the threes. On the threes. And
does he know that? Does he know that's a reference
now.
Okay.
Shout out to James.
Yeah. And then we put Portland on the back because Claima got its start in Portland, and I wanted to make sure we show love there. And you may or may not hear it here first, but this might be part one of a second story.
Oh,
so
okay. To be continued.
Global exclusive.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations, man. Very happy for you. Make sure everyone gets those tomorrow, 9 a.m., ClaimaStories.com.
By the way, are we going on a little break after this one?
We are. And I'm not going to throw you guys under the bus, but you guys are traveling a little bit. So.
We're popping out to Malaysia,
and
so we won't be here to record, and we're going to Portland as well.
Yeah,
so.
y'all coming to the event.
But,
2 weeks off.
Yeah, 2 weeks off, then we'll be right back. Yeah, headed out to Oregon.
The good thing is we left you with a lot of bingeable episodes.
Lots in the archives.
Yes.
And you can always go check out the Claima Stories podcast as well.
Come show us some love.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry. One more thing. Did you guys see the college football game? Did
He
anybody watch
waited
college
for the
football this
last second to get
I
that
knew
in.
this
It
was
wasn't a
coming.
big
I was
game.
like, is it gonna
Where
be
was it? He
Here's
buried the
thing.
lead.
No, it wasn't a big game. It's just Colorado. It's Oregon playing Colorado. A lot of people think
Wow.
that's like a big game or like a big deal on the schedule. When Oregon plays Colorado, that's not a big deal. It's just another game to, just cross off the list. So, yes.
Lil Baby was performing with Anthony Edwards. So would you have the game? The
Yeah,
game
he's
on
over there,
the
like,
Yeah, I watched the whole game. I mean, I didn't need to watch the whole game, but I was watching it all on my
We
phone.
knew he
It
was
wasn't
going to
a-
get it in.
Man, shouts to Dion.
Why?
I can't
For
take
what?
this
Who?
heat.
For what?
Hey, shout out to Dion, man.
What?
Gotta show him
He
love.
did the-
All
Such an
defeated
Oregon
in
fan.
conference play?
Such an
Wow.
Oregon fan, man.
Yeah. You were talking that shit. You
Didn't
were.
have to. I showed it on my IG stories. I asked Tinker about that many months ago. I might even have the Tinker Hatfield quote here for you. I was saying, are we worried about that, Tinker? And Tinker told me, quote, "We'll be all right. I think Dion may help turn the program around, but it takes a while.
Damn.
Even if he does, we aren't letting up. Our foot's not going off the gas pedal." Same thing Dan Lanning told him at halftime. Anyways.
wow.
Anyways.
Okay.
All gas,
Wow.
no brakes.
All gas.
Just another
Did he text
conference
Tinker
game.
after?
I haven't yet.
Oh, listen, you were right. You were right, OG.
You don't want to FaceTime him right now in the pod, see if he answers?
You gonna try?
I'm not sure he'd pick up.
No. All right, listen, we're going to be off for 2 weeks. Hope everyone has a great weekend. We will be back before you have a chance to miss us. Bimma, thank you so much for joining.
Appreciate
Hope
y'all.
everyone has a great weekend. Please like, subscribe, comment. We will see you in 2 weeks.